Today you're going to look at how to add and subtract polynomials. So we're going to look at adding first. And you're going to have problems that are set up like 4x plus 2 plus 3x minus 6. And you have to add them together, but you have to remember that you kind of do them in rows and columns. So you have 4x plus 3x, so that gives me 7x. These ones are called like terms. And here I have a positive 2 and a negative 6, so that gives me a minus 4. And right there I stop, because this one has an x and this one doesn't, so I stop. So another one would be like 3x squared plus 2x plus 1 plus x squared plus 7x minus 5. And so you're going to add the ones that are the same. So if I add the ones that are the same, I have 3x squared and x squared, so we put that imaginary 1 there. So it means I have 4x squared, excuse me, plus 2 plus 7 is 9x, and then 1 minus 5, or 1 plus negative 5 gives me a negative 4 because 5 is bigger. Now here I have an x squared and an x. These are different, so I'm done because everything is different. Now what happens in algebra is sometimes we will write this instead of going up and down, we write it side to side. So you have to be careful and match up the right ones. So here I have an x squared, so I have 4x squared. That matches up to this one. So 4x squared plus 2x squared, that gives me 6x squared. Then I have 3x. That matches up to minus 5. You have to use the minus there. So 3 and a minus 5 gives me a minus 2x. And then what I have left is a minus 9 and a plus 2. So minus 9 and plus 2 gives me minus 7. And that's my answer because this one has a squared, this one has just an x, and this one is a constant all by itself. So that is my answer. Let's look at another one. Let's say we have 5w cubed plus 2w minus 1 plus 3w cubed plus 5. So this one, I have to look for my ones that are the same. W cubed, W cubed. So this one, and this one, because they're both W cubed. So I have 5W cubed and 3W cubed. So I get 8W cubed. My next one is 2W. With 2W, I don't have any other W's. So it just becomes plus 2W. Because there's nothing else to go with it, so you just copy it down. The last one I have a minus 1 and a plus 5, so that becomes plus 4. And it's all done, because they're all different, so you can leave it like that. Now we're going to look at subtracting. Subtracting is a little bit harder, but you guys can handle it. So if we have 3b plus 6 minus 2b minus 1, if it's subtracting, you basically have to change the sign. So you're subtracting everything. So you have 3b minus 2b. So 3b minus 2b is 1b. And here you have 6 minus negative 1. So that becomes plus 7, because when you have a minus and negative 1, or minus and negative, it becomes a plus. It's a little bit different. When they're written like this, like 8x squared plus 3x minus 2 minus 5x squared plus, let's say, 2x plus 1, what I do is I rewrite it. If it's written out horizontally, I rewrite it. I rewrite it as 8x squared plus 3x minus 2, and then I change all of these. So you're going to change this one, and this one. So it becomes plus negative 5x squared minus 2x minus 1. So I changed everything to a plus. So I get 8x squared plus negative 5x squared. So that's 3x squared. And then I have 3x plus negative 2x. So 3 and a minus 2 gives me plus 1x. And then I have a minus 2 and a minus 1. So they're both minuses, so I add them together, so I get minus 3. Let's look at another one. So let's say you have 2x squared plus 4 minus negative 3x squared plus 1. So what I would do, if there's a minus here, you change it to a plus. And then when you change it to a plus, you have to change the second one. So this becomes 3x squared, and then this one would become minus 1. And the first one you keep as 2x squared plus 4. So this one stays the same, this one you change. So now you can add your ones that are the same. 2x squared plus 3x squared, that gives me 5x squared. Then I have 4 plus negative 1, so they're different, so I minus, so it's going to be 3, and it's going to be a plus because 4 is bigger. So let's try one more. Let's try, how about this? 9x squared minus x plus 2 minus 3x squared minus x plus 6. So it starts as a minus. If it starts as a minus, change it to a plus. And when you change it to a plus, all of this has to change. So it becomes negative 3x squared. This one becomes plus x, and then if you change this one, minus 6. The first one stays exactly how it was. So now 9x squared plus negative 3x squared gives me 6x squared. Now this next one is kind of fun. You have negative x, that's like 1, so negative 1. And this one, which is a positive 1, so negative 1 plus positive 1 is 0. So you get 0x. In your last term you get 2 and a minus 6. So if you add them, you end up subtracting because they're different, so you get minus 4. And that's okay to write it like that. In algebra, we would write it as 6x squared minus 4. Because the 0x, you do not have to write this part. Alright, you have some practice to do. Try your best, and I will see you on Monday.